There is a secret hierarchy in human society. It is not written in any law book, it is not taught in any school, it is not listed in any corporate diversity policy. But it dictates who gets hired, it dictates who gets promoted, it dictates who goes to prison and who walks free. It dictates who you trust, who you love, and who you forgive. We like to believe that we are rational creatures. We like to believe that we judge people based on their character, their intelligence, and their merit. We tell our children, don't judge a book by its cover. But the science tells us a different story. The science tells us that the cover is the only thing that matters.
This is the halo effect. It is a cognitive bias where a single positive trait, physical beauty, causes our brain to subconsciously assume that a person possesses other positive traits. We see a symmetrical face, and our brain instantly whispers, they are smart, they are kind, they are honest, they are healthy. We do not wait for evidence. The judgment is instant. It is biological, and it is usually wrong. Remember the hot felon? A violent criminal arrested for weapons charges and grand theft. When his mugshot was released, the world did not see a criminal. They saw a jawline. They saw blue eyes. They saw a bad boy. He didn't go to prison. He went to the runway. He became a millionaire model. Why? Because beauty overrides morality. In this documentary, we are going to expose the brutal economics of beauty. We will look at the data that proves attractive people earn millions more over a lifetime. We will analyze the court cases where murderers walked free simply because they looked like angels. And we will teach you how to defend yourself against the most powerful manipulation tool in nature. To understand the halo effect, we must go back 200,000 years. In the harsh environment of the Paleolithic era, there were no doctors, there were no blood tests, there were no resumes. If you wanted to choose a mate or a leader, you had to rely on visual proxies. What we call beauty is actually a biological signal for health. Symmetry indicates a lack of genetic mutations and resistance to parasites. Clear skin indicates a strong immune system. Height in men indicates testosterone and physical dominance. Wide hips in women indicate fertility. Your brain is a survival machine. When it sees these traits, it releases dopamine. It says, this human is high value. Get close to them, copy them, mate with them. For our ancestors, the halo effect was a survival heuristic. Beautiful people were likely healthier and stronger. But here is the glitch. We no longer live in caves. We live in a complex society where value is defined by intelligence, integrity, and skill, traits that have zero correlation with bone structure. Yet your Paleolithic brain is still running the old software. It looks at a CEO with a square jaw and thinks he is a good leader. It looks at a politician with tall stature and thinks he can protect us. The term halo effect was coined by psychologist Edward Thorndike in 1920. He noticed that military officers ranked their soldiers as more intelligent and better leaders if they were physically fit and handsome. There was no correlation in reality. The ugly soldiers were just as smart, but the officers couldn't see it. The beauty blinded them. This is the what is beautiful is good stereotype. And in the modern world, this glitch is not just annoying, it is expensive. Let's talk about money. We live in a meritocracy, right? Wrong. Economists have quantified a phenomenon known as the beauty premium and the ugliness penalty. Studies show that attractive employees earn, on average, 10 to 15% more than their unattractive counterparts for doing the exact same job. Over a 40-year career, this compounds into a difference of nearly $250,000. That is the price of a house. That is the price of freedom, handed to someone simply because of their genetics.
Why does this happen? It starts at the interview. Recruiters spend an average of 6 seconds looking at a resume. If there is a photo, like on LinkedIn, the bias sets in immediately. Subconsciously, the recruiter assumes the attractive candidate is more socially skilled, more competent, and more confident. This becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because the attractive person is treated better, they become more confident. They are given more opportunities. They are mentored by senior leaders who want to be around them. Meanwhile, the unattractive employee is ignored, interrupted in meetings, and kept in the back office.
Look at the Fortune 500. In the U.S. population, only 14.5% of men are over 6 feet tall. Among Fortune 500 CEOs, 58% are over 6 feet tall. Is height a requirement for reading a balance sheet? No, but height conveys authority, and we blindly follow authority. The corporate ladder is not a ladder of competence. It is a beauty pageant for men in suits. If the economic unfairness angers you, the judicial unfairness should terrify you. The halo effect does not just decide your salary, it decides your freedom.
Case study: Ted Bundy. One of the most prolific serial killers in history. He kidnapped, raped, and murdered over 30 women. Yet during his trial, he had groupies. Women showed up to the courthouse dressed like his victims, hoping to catch his eye. Why? Because he was handsome, he was charming. He looked like a law student, not a monster. Even the judge said to him after sentencing him to death, "You're a bright young man, you would have made a good lawyer. I would have loved to have you practice in front of me, but you went another way, partner." Partner. The halo effect made a judge identify with a mass murderer.
Research from Cornell University found that unattractive defendants are 22% more likely to be convicted and receive sentences that are 300% longer than attractive defendants for similar crimes. If you are ugly, the jury looks at you and thinks, "He looks like a criminal." If you are beautiful, the jury looks at you and thinks, "He must have made a mistake. He comes from a good family. Let's give him a second chance."
This is the inverse of the halo effect. If you have one negative trait, ugliness, we assume you have other negative traits, dishonesty, cruelty. We punish the ugly for the crime of being ugly.
Evolution is an arms race. If beauty creates trust, then predators will evolve to be beautiful. This brings us to the Dark Triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Psychopaths are masters of the halo effect. They know that you are judging them by their cover, and they curate that cover meticulously. They dress impeccably. They groom themselves perfectly. They practice their smiles in the mirror. They use their halo as camouflage to get close to their victims.
Look at Elizabeth Holmes. She defrauded investors of nearly $1 billion with a blood testing machine that didn't work. How did she fool the smartest men in business? George Shultz, Henry Kissinger, Rupert Murdoch. She used the halo. She crafted an image of a brilliant, intense, Steve Jobs-like visionary. Her large blue eyes and blonde hair disarmed them. They wanted to believe in the girl genius. If she looked like a disheveled, middle-aged man, they would have asked for the data. But because she was a young, compelling woman, they took her word for it. She weaponized the halo effect to rob the world blind.
In the 21st century, the halo effect has been weaponized by technology. We have entered the era of hyper-reality. Filters, Facetune, and AI can now create a halo that doesn't even exist.
Social media algorithms prioritize engagement, and what engages the human brain? Beauty. Attractive creators get pushed to the For You page. Unattractive creators are suppressed. This creates a distorted reality where everyone appears to be in the top 1% of genetic attractiveness. This leads to body dysmorphia. We compare our real, flawed selves to the artificial halos of strangers.
There is a trend called pretty privilege.
People are finally admitting that life is on easy mode when you are hot. Free drinks, free entry, faster service, forgiveness. But this awareness hasn't stopped it. It has only made people more desperate to attain it. We're seeing a surge in plastic surgery, look-maxing, and cosmetic procedures among men and women. They're not doing it for health, they are doing it for power. They know that in the modern economy, your face is your most valuable asset. So how do we break the spell? How do we stop our primitive brains from being hacked by a pretty face? Strategy 1. The blind audit. In the 1970s, orchestras started auditioning musicians behind a screen. They judged only the sound, not the appearance. Suddenly, the number of women hired tripled. In your own life, try to evaluate people based on their output, not their presence. Read the report before you meet the author. Listen to the idea without looking at the speaker. Separate the signal from the packaging. Strategy 2. The weight rule. The halo effect is strongest in the first impression. It fades with time as data accumulates. Never hire, date, or trust someone instantly. Force yourself to wait. Look for the negative markers. The beautiful narcissist can hold the mask for an hour. They cannot hold it for a month. Watch how they treat waiters. Watch how they handle rejection. Wait for the halo to dim and the human to appear. The halo effect is a biological trap. It is a shortcut that leads to a cliff. To be wise is to override your biology. Do not let beauty blind you to character. Do not let a sharp suit hide a dull mind. And do not let an angelic face hide a demonic soul. This is Umbra Decode. See what is hidden. Trust nothing that shines.